Folks, what the crap's going on? HeirofCarthage here, and do you like Odrysian Kingdom? Yes, you do. Why do you like Odrysian Kingdom? Well, of course, because they have, what is it, Romphia and Falx units? I don't remember the names of these swords. Hopefully I got that right. I may not have. Everybody likes those type of units. So we're going to see them in action. There are spears up front for the Odrysian Kingdom, an interesting front line, obviously meant to stop cavalry charges, maybe absorb a little bit of skirmish fire and charge, so that the larger, what is this, Romphia Falx armed units here. I'm pretty sure the bigger one, was it Romphia? I don't know. I could be saying it wrong, so I'm just going to stop. I'm just going to call it a Falx unit. I think that it has a different name, but there we go. In any case, we've got a couple of Thracian Royal Cavalry. I say a couple, there's actually three supporting, one in the middle, one on either flank. There are two Thracian nobles, which are extraordinarily powerful when it comes to melee attack and damage. I mean, they have tremendous damage here, 15 AP, so these guys will shred armor. They have a massive charge bonus that looks like a shock cavalry unit. But if you come down here, they have no melee defense and limited armor. And then so, of course, the Thracian warriors are just a slightly lighter version of that. There is Thracian cavalry squaring off against raiding horsemen. The Thracian cavalry and raiding horsemen are both similar in the sense that they are decent skirmish cavalry who are also good in a light melee against skirmishers or rear charges into infantry. They're going to be kind of a hybrid unit. Interesting ones. Raiding cavalry, or said raiding horsemen, like I said, similar. I think the Thracian cavalry is probably slightly better on some of the stats. Let's take a look at Tylus. Tylus is an interesting faction. They have some very defensive swords. The tribal warriors are very well armored, a very defensive unit. Not great on offense, but they can hold out for a long time. We got Levy Freeman leading the way for 3 Celtic slingers. I do see a noble horse. There's an Oathsworn general. Let's see if there's any more Oathsworn. Nope. Just the one Oathsworn. I'm just taking a look. We do have 2 noble horse, though, being supported by 4 raiding horsemen. That's a considerable number of raiding horsemen. So the Thracian Royal Cavalry does enjoy a little bit of a... I thought I saw 3 of the Royal Cav. Sorry, it's only 2 Royal Cav. My bad. The Thracian Royal Cav, probably pretty close match for the Noble Horse. I don't know exactly how the numbers stack up. The Noble Horse may be a hair better. The Royal Cav has a better bonus versus large, though. So slightly less damage and stuff, but a better bonus versus large. So we'll see how this turns out. Tylus has a lot of heavy infantry. I mean, if we count them up here, we got 1, 2, 3, 4... 5, 6 heavy infantry. There's some Thracian warriors for Tylus on that one flank as well. It's a lot of heavy infantry. If they can avoid the charges of the Odrysians, they have a chance to grind this one out. Odrysia is going to be extremely good against the armor of Tylus, though you can see they are somewhat limited in their skirmish capability. These Celtic slingers are going to be very important. If they're kept safe from the Odrysians, they could potentially wreck Thracian noble units and make a big impact on this battle. However, if the slingers are not able to be kept safe, Tylus could find itself facing a quick melee onslaught that grinds through all their armor and defensive capability. So we're just going to see how this one turns out. Got the noble horse here, keeping a respectful distance, obviously, I would hope, from this engagement. This is not somewhere they want to get tangled up. The Thracian nobles are being kept out here for their charge bonus and ability to cut through armor. The spears are going to block charges, and then the raiding horsemen are going to throw their javelins. So definitely not something that you'd want to get involved in. This is a very well put together, kind of somewhat self-sufficient wing out here. It's capable against infantry. It's certainly capable against armored cavalry. So it's an interesting kind of combination of units here that should not be underestimated by any stretch of the imagination, because you could find yourself in really big trouble against it. Raiding horsemen here getting very brave, charging up against the spear-armed units and into the Thracian cavalry. This is not great for Tylus, as that this flank is losing some of its standoff capability with those raiding horsemen. And if Tylus is patient here and able to wear that away, it could prove really big. Not a lot of javelins in play for Odrysians. I don't know if their spears have them. Their other infantry certainly does not. This was risky, countercharging that cavalry. It's a cool move, and it's also risky. If that cavalry suddenly changed its target, it would crush the Thracian warriors. But they're also going to take a lot of armor-piercing damage that really that noble horse probably doesn't want to get involved with this early in the battle. But these lightly armored Thracian warriors are very susceptible to a lot of charge damage because they just don't have the armor to hold out against it. A lot of patient play out here, though there is an engagement now. The Thracian noble cavalry is going to come roaring in, or royal cavalry, I should say. There is a spear unit out here supporting. That Thracian noble still relatively close by. That royal cavalry is going to shred the raiding horsemen, and the levy freeman isn't going to do a ton to the royal cavalry unless it gets a javelin volley. The spear here is going to intercept the tribal warrior, and then there's a follow-up plan from the Thracian noble. This is a very bad engagement for Tylus. They really need to pull that tribal warrior out and just run for the hills because this Thracian warrior or Thracian noble is about to eat them for lunch. This is going to be ugly. I do see some some noble horse charges incoming, though it did not head for the Thracian nobles. That tribal warrior tries to escape just in the nick of time. They're being pursued, and the royal cavalry is being engaged by the noble cavalry. And I think the noble cavalry got a decent charge. And there was a noble horse charge here in the middle. It got a lot of kills. Let's see how Tylus gets these early engagements and whether they keep their slingers safe. Their slingers are working on some of these frontline infantry units. Odrysians playing a pretty tough game so far here. That Royal Cavalry started down to the Noble Horse just a little here. Trying to keep these Thracian nobles out of combat. Nice job here by Tylus. Stopping their charge with the cavalry. Countering them with a couple of tribal warriors. Let's see how things are going over here. Decent start for Tylus. However, their slingers are about to get overwhelmed. This Oathsworn's going to get countercharged by that Thracian warrior. It's not going to be a great trade, though I don't think the Thracian warrior can finish them by any means here. And then kind of a ruined charge there by that Thracian warrior, but this one's going to get a clean connect. So the slingers are still alive, but they are under heavy threat and not really moving away from that Thracian Royal Cavalry at the moment. The cavalry for Tylus got chewed up over here by a Thracian warrior support to the Royal Cavalry. And good start to an engagement against those Thracian nobles. But Odrysia is kind of pulling it back on this flank. And then over here, the Thracian nobles helped shred through another noble horse. So Tylus has kind of lost a lot of their cavalry capability in a very short order here. But you can see where these tribal warriors, if they can get past the charge, they will grind a decent bit against these Thracian warriors. The Thracian warriors have low defense and low armor, which makes it a little more possible for the tribal warriors to rack up kills, but the tribal warriors are also pretty good at cutting through armor, so it's a tough standoff right now. That Oathsworn is cutting through quite a few units here. This is going to be a pretty close game, if I have to guess. Thracian noble general is in a bit of trouble here, in a tough fight. That Thracian Royal Cavalry, though, is definitely making its presence felt, smashing up these slingers. Those slingers are badly needed. There's still Thracian cavalry back here, too, for the Odrysians that could come in very handy. Can the heavy infantry of Tylus hang on to all these charges? That Royal Cavalry charging into the Oathsworn. I don't know whether Tylus is going to be able to weather the storm and then still deal with some incoming charges. There's quite a bit of cycle charging taking place here from the Odrysians, and it's getting their units a bunch of kills. Like a whole bunch of kills. Look at this Thracian warrior here about to pass 200 kills. That Royal Cavalry, too, is just racking it up as well. Tylus is having to reinforce over here with yet more tribal warriors, and they're trying to cycle their Oathsworn general out. And the slingers are going to be sandwiched and killed. Rocking a hard place here. Sandwiched between the spears and the Thracian Royal Cavalry. Nice play here by the Levy Freeman to try and drive that back. They did get some javelins in there, but the numbers game is starting to turn against Tylus. Look, here comes a couple of more units ready to rear charge. Tylus needs to free up some of the... Like, this Thracian warrior can turn around and take this charge. They need to. They need to intercept this Thracian noble really badly so that it can then be ground down by the heavier infantry. And it looks like those Thracian warriors did turn around kind of at the last second. These nobles, though, will get a charge into this infantry fight. That Oathsworn's going to have to keep itself safe. There's two Thracian Royal Cavalry still kind of ambling about the battlefield here and delivering charges. That one got run off by the Oathsworn. That Oathsworn may be looking to contain that Thracian Noble, but at the same point, yep, that's kind of what I've expected. This Thracian Noble is going to turn around and charge it. Not the best charge by the Thracian Noble. It's very tired. But again, they do a lot of AP damage. We got a second wind here for the Oathsworn. That could make a pretty big difference in this fight as it kind of comes down to a grind out. The Tribal Warriors here trying to finish that Noble and the Royal Cav. And there was a number of Thracian units here, Tylisian units here that just routed. So that's not great here. There's a little bit of cycling going on between the Odrysian General and this Thracian Noble's trying to get away and perform another cycle charge, and it's probably going to be able to do so because it's got other units around. You can see the Tribal Warriors chasing units as well. The Oathsworn is dropping entities quickly because it's being pursued while they're charging another unit. They can't allow that Thracian Noble to get another charge, but the pursuit also isn't good for them, so it does look like the Odrysians are probably going to slice their way through this. That AP kind of giving them the edge, that cavalry supremacy as well playing a big role. The Slingers did not make it into this late game where they could have been very good. Like, so for instance, those Thracian Nobles crossing the battlefield very slowly. Slingers can chew that kind of thing up. But the Thracian Royal Cavalry won the day and was able to play a big role there. The Tribal Warriors, the last units left, the Oathsworn General routed. And they almost did it. Tylus puts up a very solid fight here in a very close battle between these two factions that are very different. Tylus is quite defensive and heavily armored. The Odrysian Kingdom is very offensive and lightly armored, kind of a glass cannon, so to speak. And Tylus is kind of a metal wall, right? So they're opposites in many ways, and it makes for some fun kind of counterplay here. You can see that, again, where the Tribal Warriors were able, and the Oathsworn probably able to get into a fight and do some grinding work, they did quite well because, again, the low armor and defense of the Odrysian Kingdom makes them particularly susceptible to these units of Tylus, which normally don't rack up that many kills when they're up against extra armor and defense. In this case, they do get more kills, just because of the circumstances. Yeah, Tylus just needed to hold on with that cavalry a little longer, let those slingers do some more work. But I think there were some numbers issues in certain spots of the battlefield that were creating challenges for Tylus. Those wings that were set up as kind of self-sufficient by Sol with the Odrysian Kingdom proved pretty difficult to deal with. But again, I thought really nice play overall here by Messias. It was a very close battle and very nearly turned in his favor. So well played. Hope you all enjoyed this one. HeirofCarthage signing out for now. I will see you all soon with some more action in Total War Rome 2.